Maybe we should chill for a second, rest our weary souls from the grind, break the caffeine addiction and make sleep prioritize. Perhaps there's something different, way to have more peace of mind. I'ma stop being a hypocrite, stop making an idol of busyness. Take a Sabbath, he commanded it. Yeah, I'ma take a Sabbath peace.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Live in the Studio. We are here with a very special guest, Chelsea Locklear. Chelsea has been a friend of ours for the past 5 years now. Is it 5 years? That's insane. We work together. Mm-hmm. We're both on staff at Relevant Church. Chelsea does worship leading, and then she's the director of worship, and I'm on staff as the production director. So we work quite a bit together. We've written albums together.
Facts.
Introduce yourself. Tell us kind of about yourself, your music. Say hello.
Yes, I do want to say hello. I have a question. Do I look like back and forth?
Everybody, we've been doing that too. You don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
If you want to, you can. You can break the fourth wall, like Ryan Reynolds kind of style. If you want to break the fourth wall, you can. Okay. But if not, don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, hello. You did a great job introducing me.
Thank you.
My name is Chelsea Locklear. I am a singer-songwriter. I'm talking to people who know me, so this is strange.
First episode was husband-wife.
Yeah. Like, sorry. What don't I know about you? I've been living in the Carolinas since 2016. I started working at Relevant at 2018, and so that was when, because you guys came back to Relevant, and you were there at the beginning, and then you came back probably within 6 months, 4 to 6 months of me being there. And I remember finding out really early, I think it was actually from Matt, that you played guitar. And he was pretty excited. He was pretty stoked that you were coming back. But yeah, we've known each other since then. I'm a singer-songwriter, producer, friend, human, just a human. Should start with that. I work for Relevant. I have a band that I do shows with in Charlotte and anywhere else that'll have me. And then I also work for Songfinch.
Nice.
Which is a lot of fun.
Oh, I didn't even think about asking you about Songfinch. Yeah, that would be a cool conversation to have too.
I just finished, I think it's my 215th song with them.
That's crazy.
It's insane. I look back on that because
I don't desire that.
Yeah. So majority of those were brand new tracks every time. And so that's a lot of production. I owe so much thanks to that company because they bore with me whenever my production was not phenomenal. Yeah. And I'm not even saying it's phenomenal now. I'm just saying it's you can compare it to things that you'd want to listen to.
Oh yeah, after 200 songs you grow.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I was so
you
grateful.
would hope, right? Like,
yeah. I think they initially brought me on because they were like, "Man, this girl's voice," and I was like, "Oh, cool." And the production was like C+. And they're like, "Yeah, but we can take it because of the voice." And I was like, "Cool." And I'm really glad they did that. And I'm really glad I was with them since the beginning.
How many were on how many artists did they have when they
It was not a lot. I actually can't remember the number, but it was 2017 when I started. And they blew up during 2019, 2020. COVID, during that time, it went off. Their online presence was incredible. I know they hired some people, and then they got featured in Rolling Stones and all that jazz. So people started to know.
Do you have like a favorite, I don't know what you're allowed to share or not share about like songs you've written for other people, but like what, do you have like a favorite or a funny, like least favorite sort of song within that like category? Cause those are, can you kind of like for people that don't know what it is?
Sure.
Can you explain like what it is?
Yeah. So it's a songwriting and production platform. Basically, people purchase a song, choose a songwriter, and we write songs based off the details they give us. We produce the track, we mix, we master, and then we send it back, and they have a full-blown song by the end of the process.
Typically, my understanding is like a gift to somebody else,
exactly.
Right? So like a husband wants to have a song written for his wife or whatever else.
Yep. Mother's Day, Father's Day, summer events, Christmas, Valentine's Day is huge. People want things for their significant other, whoever that is. Yes, I got a request one time, and the guy who's in charge of reviewing my songs actually texted me when I got the opportunity. They're called opportunities. And he goes, "Hey, I just sent an op your way, but I'm really not sure if it's your style." And what they wanted stylistically was, but the details they put in the song I'm trying to think if I think it's okay. They were like, they wanted like moans and stuff in the track.
Oh gosh.
No.
That's wow.
They're like sexy waterfall droplet sounds. And I was like, I texted
that was
the guy
on the
back.
description.
Yeah.
Oh,
I texted
man.
the guy back and I was like, you read that right. This is not for me. I was like, this is not my vibe.
That is hilarious.
I was like, I'm not going to do this justice. What they want, I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Well, and so he's like, nah, I got you. And he removed it.
It's nice to have like people there that like look out for you.
They
Curate it for
definitely
you.
do. Yeah. They're great about it, especially with customers requesting revisions.
Yeah.
They're really good about it. First of all, a revision costs money if it's anything where I have to go back in and record and it's not a mistake. Like if I mispronounce someone's name,
Yeah. Then
I have to fix it. I don't get paid for that. And I'm like, oh, cool, I got it. I definitely will say a common one is people will put the pronunciation of something and I'll look at it and be like, okay, I can pronounce that. And I'll even go a step further, especially with cities, restaurants. I'll look them up online and I'll say, how do you pronounce this? And then I'll press the button and listen. And there was one recently where I had to go back and correct it 3 times.
That feels like me with lyric videos.
Yeah.
It's like, it sounds like
Yeah.
very similar.
Spelling.
But the
Yeah.
wild thing is that I pronounced it how they
they
phonetically
said.
spelled it out. And I was like, got it.
What's a favorite one you've written? Like, has there been one that's been really sweet or?
Yeah. There's been lots of sweet ones. I think my favorite, it was a long time ago, probably 2020, which is crazy. That was 2 years, 2.5 years. There was one where a parent submitted it on behalf of their little girl writing to their new sibling.
Oh,
That was it was called Always Times Infinity because that was something that they said to each other.
that reminds me of the I Love You 3000 or whatever it is from like that kind of an idea.
It was exactly like that. It was really sweet. That one melted my heart for sure.
Would you ever? Here's another thought. Like, would you ever put one of those on a record, or can you?
Yes, I can. I just have to change the lyrics. But
Would you?
technically, we sign off that we don't own the story, but we
Okay.
own the production. We own the melodies. We just can't reuse words.
Would you ever do it?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
there's some really good ones in there I've saved on my desktop as used for laters.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do I ever get to them? No. Do I think I will? Yeah, I do.
One
think I
day,
will.
maybe one day you'll get like
Yeah.
10 that are all from that spot.
Yeah.
You just do an album purely on that concept.
Yeah.
Just rewrite songs you've already written.
Songfinches.
Yeah, my friend. Yeah,
Records
from the
literally.
Finch
What's
pit.
the album? What's the album?
I don't think that should
What's
be
the
it.
album title?
My friend Melody actually told me recently about a platform where you can produce beats and sell them. Mm-hmm. And she just recently started doing it. And I think some of them, I do on Songfinch, I do acoustic pop, singer, songwriter, and rap.
Okay.
Rap hip hop. And so I've got a couple rap hip hop beats. I'm like, bro, this would sound, somebody might buy this. And then I could just be making money off stuff I already did, which is great.
Yeah. It's cool to kind of like, I know for you and I, like we both write heavily, but I don't think I could do that. I've thought about it, and
Really?
like I've even had conversations with you about like, tell me what that's like. I'm thinking about different opportunities.
I think you guys would do
that.
really well. You just get too
Yeah,
critical
I'd
with
be-
the edits. You'd take a lot of time.
I think I would take a lot of time. But I actually think the idea of trying to write based on like a set of parameters, I would want to practice that. That scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
Feeling like I have to incorporate certain things
Yeah.
or it's
You hit a
not
groove.
okay. You know
So
what I mean?
they organize it well specifically to help our minds because they know a lot of musicians are ADHD, which just seems to be true. I mean, a lot of them I just can't stay focused.
Yeah,
but
it's a thing.
They have a 3 must include list.
Okay.
Those are the 3 things that have to be in the song. Everything else is creative liberty.
Okay. Nice.
So that's really helpful.
Well, let me I'm gonna
Segue.
go through some lists here because we have a couple questions that I wanted to specifically ask you.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with a pretty broad one, which is just for you, what does music mean to you and like kind of what's been its significance in your life?
Yeah. Music is something I have always loved. I would, when we would drive in the car with my parents, dependent on the shape and the size, sometimes even the color of a building, I would beatbox based off like depth.
Really?
And so if something was really, really big, it was a kick. I didn't know it was called beatboxing at the time. I was just like, I was like boots and cats and boots and cats. And then there are specific trees, if they were long and skinny, were like a really a high sound like that.
Did you just like think up that game?
Yes.
Really? That's cool.
That was just the way my brain worked. I was always drumming, tapping on things. My mother hated that.
Yeah.
She was just like, stop. I was doing that and I was always flipping stuff in the air like a drumstick. I traded my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card for my first pair of drumsticks. I played tuba in 6th grade. That was when it started like practically for me, was when I had an instrument. I was going to say in my hands, but it was technically on my mouth as well.
So that was your first?
My first technical instrument, yes, was tuba.
I feel like that's rare.
That's
Is it?
very
Rarer.
rare first instrument.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's a
mean?
weird one.
Especially, I guess, maybe in the, maybe at the very least, like within the, like a Christian music community, like tuba's my first instrument is like not the person you imagine like leading the service.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that.
Did you actually not know that?
No, I had seen you, I think I've seen you with like a trumpet, but I've never seen or heard anything about tuba before.
Yeah. 6th grade, beginning in 6th grade, it was obsessive to me to have to learn to play something. I didn't care what it was or how it happened, but I knew that band was available and I was taking it.
Did they give you tuba or did you pick tuba?
Did they give you tuba? Did they give you tuba? Got you tuba? I rented a tuba from them, yes, and it was very large and very dented. And looking back now, I'm like, wow, that was a garbage tuba. But at the time, I was like, oh my god, my own tuba! I got my own tuba.
So you started off kind of in band in school, younger, and then like at what point did you like start picking up a guitar, start trying to write, start doing some of the other things we know you do?
Yeah, I wrote poetry starting at about 12. Maybe a little earlier, but I know 12 is when I started remembering writing poetry, spoken word poetry. And then I started picking up a guitar around, I think 16 was the first time. And I learned drums in between then. That was like, I was obsessed. Everything was rhythmic for me, everything. That's why if someone's tapping on something, I can't focus as well, because it's just a wiring. But yeah, guitar was more 16 to 18. And then I bought my first guitar, I think. Originally, my dad wouldn't let me buy it. He's like, you won't stick with it. And I was like, I've been playing tuba this whole time. What makes you think I won't play guitar? It's a significantly easier instrument to hold. So I'd say between 16 and 18 is when I think the real actual songwriting process started happening. Yeah. And I realized that I just loved it. I loved it. And I also couldn't help it.
Yeah. When you first started writing, like lyrically, were you writing, because I know like now a lot of your music is either within the church or it's Christian influence. When you first started writing, was that a sort of God related? I mean, I know it was, because like obviously I know you believe he was in the process, but were you writing like, what kind of songs were they? Were they like secular songs? Were they just like, I'm gonna write pop tracks? I know like rap and hip hop's like a big thing. Was it just that kind of stuff, or where did it start? I
think I started off my first song I wrote that I remember without a guitar, it was because I wrote songs before I could play. I think it was called Soul Laundry. Okay.
Oh yeah. You know, it was called Soul Laundry. We've heard about this, have we not? I feel like I've definitely heard about this at some point.
I consider it to be embarrassing. Yeah. So I just wanted to out myself to you. Yeah. So my first song I remember writing was Soul Laundry. It was definitely gospel driven. And then poetry and songs were always about the gospel. And wanting to know more about who God is, or expressing who God is to other people, or it was about love, wanting to fall in love. Those were my two main. Yeah. My first love song I remember finishing was Please Come Soon. And that's on my record from my first EP from 2016.
We've had this conversation offline too. Is that, how long is that available for people to hear now? Because I know you've talked, like we've had conversations in the background about.
Well, I have hard copies.
Are you? Yes. Buy them. Can we order them online?
Yeah. ChelseaLocklearmusic.com.
Yeah.
You can.
You should go check those out, because I don't know.
It's a fun progression.
Do you want, is this cool to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay. So like we've had conversations before of like artists, and like for you've told me like your sound changing through the years, like
so much.
Considering like how much do I want to leave up if it doesn't really sound like what I'm putting out now. And I'm always like a candidate of like, leave it all. I want to be able to go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to hear the evolution.
Yeah.
I love that. That's like one of my favorite things.
Billy came out with this sentence, and I was like, this is what got me to ruminate on it. Was you said, what about people who like your older stuff and don't like your newer stuff? And then you take that away from them and then you lose audience. And I was like, that's an interesting thought. I never thought about that. I was thinking more selfishly of, I don't like that.
Well, I guess where it came from for me is I think Well, specifically, like if Leave Me Lonely ever goes away,
I wasn't
I'm
planning
gonna
on
start a
thinking that.
change.org petition. Just let you know. Like I'm not gonna. That song is like my favorite in the sense of,
Yeah.
for me personally, style wise,
More John Mayer-esque.
it just like hit it. I was very I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this is really.
You know why you love it? It's because Dylan's on it. That's why you
Dylan did
love
play
it.
guitar on it. I
He
do know
did.
that. Yeah.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Dylan.
Who produced that one? Where
That was
at?
Travis Motley.
Okay, is that
Yeah.
in Charlotte? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, he's in Kannapolis.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a full-time studio too. He's trying to do the dang thing.
Yeah.
He's doing well.
That song. What's funny is I went back and listened to it the other day next to your newest release, Sabbath, and there's actually more similarities than I think. Like me personally, like independently from when they each came out, like
Yeah.
they feel super different.
Yeah.
But vocally, there's a lot of through lines, which I think is actually pretty cool. So all that to say, a little bit of encouragement in the sense of, I don't think they're totally unrelated, which is kind of a cool thing. So they don't,
right.
from a listener's perspective, I definitely knew it was you on both tracks, and it definitely had your like, what's the word?
Watermark on it.
Like DNA within it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah.
That was 2019, I think. So 2019 to 2022.
It's
think
3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, because during that COVID time set.
Is there
time
another
frame.
album laying around with like more of that sound in it in the songwriting book here? Just personal. I have a vested interest in knowing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
there are.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel, that guy from One Republic, what's his name?
Ryan Tedder.
Yeah, Ryan Tedder, incredible songwriter, incredible vocalist too, but he writes all over the place. If
Yeah.
you listen to One Republic's old stuff versus now,
Yeah.
it's insanely different. I feel like that a lot of times.
Yeah.
Whereas I wonder if I didn't know this was a thing, but I wonder if a lot of the songs that I have sitting in the queue are just meant to be given away or meant to be for somebody else to sing.
Worked on with other people.
Yeah,
or-
because the genres are too vast.
Yeah.
They're too vast to make sense to be like, hey, come to the show and hear this. And people
Yeah.
are like, hear what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go from a ballad to just crazy rap. Ready?
Everything.
With like a
Yep.
trap beat behind it that I made at home.
I always disliked that question when like our band was being interviewed. They're like, "What genre are you?" I'm like, "I don't know." Like,
Come find out.
yeah, like
Part of the inspiration for forming a band in the first place was to force ourselves to narrow.
Create.
Was to narrow,
focus in a little bit,
to
yeah.
narrow down on like a
I didn't know
specific
that.
sound. Yeah. It was sort of this idea of
Because
like,
you're a songwriter too by nature.
Yeah,
All over the place.
and-
And you love to sing totally different genres.
yep.
yeah, we had totally different influences
Growing up, so.
and so that created this sort of natural argument. It's like the real way to say it. But we were
Like,
trying to
it's too
figure out
rock
how to
pop,
like
you need to chill.
create a sound and then sort of stick with that for a little bit. And I never kind of like along what you're saying, like I never really write that way, but I do write and then like put them in little buckets and go, oh, this is definitely not for this, or
Right.
definitely might be for that. But,
Yes, I need to do that. That sounds organized.
so for you, what is the significance of writing for you? Like, is it a coping thing? Is it you just really, I mean, I'm sure it's like a little bit of everything, but what kind of stands out as sort of the main thing?
Yeah, I think that question ties in really well with what music means because this is the more specific answer. It's processing for me. But I don't usually know what I'm processing until way later, till the song's way done,
Yeah.
you know? But there is also an element of learning how to write for the sake of being someone else's voice. So like a song Finch emphasizes that almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But also there are a lot of songs that I've written that are like, this is my heart's hurting for my friend, or my heart's happy for my friend, whatever it is, or my family. So a lot of times it is processing even the information given to me on someone else's behalf.
Yeah.
I think songwriting acts as a lot of that for me. And it's a good tell. I look back and I'm like, ooh, she was going through it.
Yeah.
I look
yeah.
back at some older stuff and I'm like, dang girl.
You like want to pat yourself on the back.
Yeah,
You're like,
it's
it's okay, honey.
You made it.
it's a journal entry in a lot of ways.
Yes.
I always feel that way.
Yes.
Mine.
Yeah, it's especially become that more lately because I'm aware.
Yeah.
So after I vomit something onto a page, which is a grotesque way to say it, but that's how it feels. Throw something up on a page, I look at that and I'm like, that's actually how I feel.
Yeah, I think for us, at least for me with writing, it's definitely something that it's the way that I'm like done. Like once it's written, like I move on, and I have a hard time moving on from a lot of things. And so that's like I guess like the healthiest mechanism I found for like actually letting go of something is like if
Yeah.
I've written about it, chances are I'm like a little bit more past it. than I
Writing a
was before.
song for him is to me what like a good cry is. Like that's my thing.
Sometimes
like
they
I
both
cry it
happen
out
at
and
the
then I'm
same
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I wrote a song about it. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember hearing from you guys songs that you've written after like an argument or something. You're like that. And you're like, yeah, I had to let that go.
Yeah. Well, and yeah.
You're like,
Sometimes
I was nervous
you're-
to show her, but
Yeah.
and I was like, I didn't do
For
anything with that
for
song.
sure.
I just processed through it. It was
Yeah.
done.
Sometimes in art, like with stuff like that, it's like amplified for the story's sake, you know, like, so
Oh,
like we'll
yeah.
have like a little argument and I'll be like, oh, that's a good idea. Like
Yeah.
if I
It's a
took
concept
that,
now.
you know, you're taking things to the, that's a great way to put it. Like it becomes a concept, even though
Yeah.
it started off as a real thing. And so it sort of has a little bit of liberty as it goes on.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay. So vocal ability is a thing that like, I feel like anybody that is a musician that comes into contact with you, it's a striking characteristic of like you and what you do.
Thank you.
It's a very obviously a very skilled thing. Was that like a natural thing? Seems like it would have to be.
It was a natural desire.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. Did it come easy? I was emulating what I heard.
Okay.
And so for me, I've always been a parrot, like since I was a little girl.
Like who would you be parroting? What would that?
I loved Aretha Franklin.
Okay.
I love Tina Turner. I love Alicia Keys, Usher. I love anything Motown / R&B and in between that.
Okay.
I was like, oh, the way that they sing. And then as I got older, I got introduced to like Tori Kelly's just ridiculous.
Yeah, we've seen you've been to a couple of her shows, right?
Yeah, I've been to 2 of her shows. Yeah.
So was that like when you started trying to do that, like obviously was it just like sing along in the car and then like one day you were getting way better at
Yeah.
it than you thought you would be? Or?
Yeah, I don't think I ever had this moment. I don't remember having a moment where I recognized I was good at it.
Okay.
I think I enjoyed being able to hit it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that sounds close.
Yeah.
You know, okay, like the Run in Tennessee whiskey. That's one of my favorites of
Yeah,
all time.
can't do
and
it.
Then then I make it more extra and just run all the way down the scale.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where I really did practice. But for me, not hitting I don't feel the sense of failure. I laugh and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'd love to be able to do it. Let's try it again.
So when you practice a run, is there a way that you approach them? Like if there is like obviously there's the ones that you just sort of like
There are
it's
some
on,
that are
so you're just
natural.
trying it.
Yeah.
But when you have one that you're like really trying to go after and get nailed down in one specific way, what's like? Do you have an approach for that?
Over and over and over and over and over again.
Like piano, just a cappella.
Usually along with the track.
Okay.
And then eventually I'll play it with guitar.
Are you slowing them down ever?
I did recently
Yeah.
because the runs I want to learn are more complicated.
Yeah. That's
But-
what I have to do. Anytime
Yeah,
I gotta
there's
learn
this
something.
there's this lady. Oh, I cannot remember her name. She's incredible. She does the 1 2 3 1 2 3 4. She'll like list the numbers for you,
Oh, okay.
and she'll show you what hand motions to make, like what I just did. What I just did with my hand. She'll like assign a number to each note, so that way you're involving all of your body. So lately there's been a run for Valerie. This girl on TikTok did.
I've seen that.
And she broke that run down, and I couldn't. That's a run I
That run
couldn't
goes
figure.
up and then down and then back up.
Any run that comes back up more than 4 or 5 notes, I'm like, I need you to tell me what you're doing, especially if you're going in and out of key, like tonally. If you're hitting minor notes in a major key that shouldn't be there but are beautiful,
Yeah.
I need that broken down for me. So lately, the more complicated runs, I've enjoyed having someone break them down, and then I just go slowly through it. But it's always like a fun challenge. I love it.
Yeah, I've never made a huge attempt at that. Honestly, for me personally, like I think you were one of my first big challenges in terms of trying to do runs.
Oh my
like,
gosh, I remember
we
this.
did a record together, and
Facts.
like this is a great moment. The song "Glory of the Sun" is like one of the ones that stands out the most.
Yes.
But
So check it out on Spotify.
we're in the studio and we're tracking the vocals for the song. And you do this like just ridiculous.
You told me to.
I know I told you to. I know. But I wasn't ready. You know.
You gave me permission. You said you should do something crazy.
I wasn't really ready. I just knew that I knew like as we were, this was what, the 6th song, 7th song,
6th, I
something
think.
like that.
I think so.
And so like we hadn't really had like a crazy like moment like that. And I was like, yeah, this seems like a good song for that. And I was
some
like, go
reason.
for it. And you like lit up. You're like, okay.
I remember I stepped off mic. I was like, really?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah. And Shaylin goes, oh no.
And so she does this run, and then like I had like the same melody that I had done every time through the chorus, like
It's
right
like, I
after
gotta
that.
do something.
And I remember
that.
like
And I
listening
didn't know you were
back
gonna
to
do
it, listening back to it. I was like, I cannot leave it. Like it just sounds like meh after that. Like, you know, like I'm like, that's too cool to have it followed up with the same thing I'd already been doing through the rest of the song.
I
So
was so proud when you did this.
I think the number's like 200 takes or something like that. I'll have to look it up.
That's
after
right.
this.
I do remember you saying that.
It was a lot.
It took a long time for me to get that.
Shaylin, were you there for all of those
I was
takes?
the one running his session. Yes.
But I hope to get more confident in it. I don't really ever think.
What's funny about you is you hear them because
Yeah.
I'll be recording
yeah.
something and he's like, do this. And I'm like, he's like, I can't do it, but here's what I'm thinking. And he'll like slow it down and show me. And I'm like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? So like you hear them
Yeah.
in your head, but like
Yeah.
both you and I have a little bit more trouble just
Yeah.
like slipping into it.
Well, yours is, I think, more of an in-person thing because like that run on the song that just
Oh
came
yeah.
out
If
is
there's an
like-
audience, I will butcher any run.
Oh, yes, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
I was like, sang,
Thank
girl.
you.
Yeah, no, I do. I never really think about it in like a desire to be able to just do crazy stuff, like as in like when you're saying like you just listen to stuff and you're like, oh, that'd be cool to do.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really do that, but when I do write, there are times where like she's saying like I have stuff that comes up that I'm like, oh, that would be cool, and I wish I could do that.
Yeah, which is impressive that
Yeah.
you hear them, but you don't execute. Because for me, I don't hear them. I just execute, and I have a hard time with repetition.
It's from
Replicating
guitar. For me, it's melodic. Like it's years of writing
Yeah.
lead, and
Yeah.
just I hear the
is
melody
really cool.
more than I do any of the other details, which sometimes I like and sometimes I don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So let me ask you this: how did you get comfortable performing live?
Oh, I'm still not.
Your live? No. That's not true. If you're listening to this, her live show is on point.
No, I'm
Like,
not saying it's not on point. I'm saying that if you look at me and you're like, she looks so confident, I'm probably experiencing not what you think.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: how did you
freaks me
get to
out.
your current level of
okay,
comfortability? Let's phrase it that way.
Doing it over and over and over again, even when I was afraid.
How many-
Because I would describe it more now as nervous than afraid. But originally, I wanted to throw up. Like I remember my first release party, which was only in 2016, April
Yeah.
of 2016. Something crazy always goes down in April. That's wild. I'm having an existential moment. Yeah, that was my first time, and I was like, I almost threw up beforehand.
Do you remember like, so 2016 is your, we'll say for the
Debut.
sake of, we'll say first release show.
Yep.
And then, I mean, I think the first show we saw had to have been your release here for the From Me to You
2018.
album. Was that?
That was a phenomenal show.
So what happened between those two shows? How many shows? Like,
Prayer.
Oh yeah, there were. Honestly, yes. Before that show, there was so much prayer because I look at every show as a ministry opportunity. Every single one of them. I'm like, bridge the gap, like to the Lord, and I can't do it, but I'm
Yeah.
like, please use my music to bridge gap. I don't care where anybody's from, what they look like, what their story is. Just draw them here and let's talk. Honestly, from 2016 to 2018, I was playing gigs a lot.
yeah.
And I think that's what got me ready. First of all, that made my voice was so much stronger than it is now. Like, I mean, I have more control now, but as far as being able to just go
Stamina.
for 3 hours, yeah, endurance, you're right. That's a better way to
Yeah.
say it. My stamina was it was becoming so strong from playing 3-hour sets. And I was a weird artist who didn't take a lot of breaks
Yeah.
during sets. Like, I didn't realize I could.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. They're like, you get free food. I was like, cool, see you in 3 hours.
I'll eat at 9:30.
Yeah, and then I saw other people or became friends with people in Charlotte, and they're like, "Oh yeah, go take your 15." I was like,
What?
15 what?
15 minutes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, for what? For what? I have to play for 3 hours. That's what they're paying me for.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that really trained me up, and also got me used to being. This didn't usually happen, but there were moments. There were moments where I was background noise,
Yeah.
and learning to be okay with that.
Yeah.
So that way, in shows, when all the attention's there, I'm like honored. I'm like, oh my God, they're listening.
Yeah. Like it separates the difference for
right.
me. Yeah.
And it made it very stark. And it was also it was humbling and strengthening vocally, and also learning what works and what doesn't. Getting better at playing acoustic and singing the entire time, like till your fingers want to bleed.
Mm-hmm.
Something you're really good at that, like I personally
Oh, what are you
struggle
about to say
with
right now?
this. You're really good with audience like interaction,
Hmm.
like at your shows. That was something I always noticed was like you talk to them.
Yeah.
You can pick up on things the moment of that will incorporate and make it
Yeah.
a little bit more fun. And
It is fun.
Yeah, I definitely think, I don't know if it's a goal, but I definitely think it's something that happens at your shows, which is I think that people leave feeling good, and I think that,
Heck yeah.
is that underlying, like underlying, or are you actually like, do you go for that specifically?
Like, hoping that people leave feeling good.
I mean, I know that
Or
I know
interaction.
that you do, but like, do you think about like
Trying to make it
specific actions that,
do that.
kind of go after that?
I think it's really natural.
Yeah.
I think I love people, and I love incorporating people when I can. And so like, I've always loved collaboration. I was raised to do everything alone, but I love to collaborate. And so I think a show is full permission for me, in all the areas, to just be like, incorporate as much as possible, to the point where it's probably too much sometimes, how much I'm willing to like give away.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, you go, everybody
Yeah.
look at this person.
Yeah.
And when I say too much, I just mean, it's like, sometimes it's not the reason people come. They're like, I didn't come to hear that.
Like, yeah.
And like, I came to hear you. And I'm like, you did hear me. You just also heard this phenomenal person. So yeah, I think it's a goal to be incorporative, but it's also just very natural.
What do you think, like, for you, live performance, like, what's the hardest piece of it for you?
Oh, that I enjoyed that question. I'll go in April. I'll go to the most recent show. I have a hard time being present in the moment and not just rushing through it, because I do get so nervous. And that's why this last show, I literally looked at everybody while we started, and I was just like, I'm just gonna breathe for a minute. I'm just gonna look at you and take it in.
I do remember that.
Yeah, I did that specifically because I have a large weakness in being present in those moments. I let the nerves just carry me a little bit.
Where does your mind go?
My mind goes like, these people came here to hear something awesome, and I don't always feel like I deliver that. I think that people will say I do, but it's a feeling of insecurity.
You do, but
Yeah. So those nerves are rooted in just like, man, these people like paid to be here.
yeah.
What do I have that people would pay for, kind of feeling? And it's just like, that's intimidating. So
So just
usually where my head is.
being present.
yeah. And wanting to start right, because starting right helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your first note. That's important. So.
Yeah. I man, like, recording is kind of a similar idea, like that. Recognizing like either when you're doing a take, like if you're cutting into some spot, like the first phrase is super important.
Yes.
Or just knowing like verse 1, like if verse 1 doesn't sound good, like why would they listen to the chorus?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if you know the chorus if verse 1's like really rough.
Yeah.
You know?
So fun fact, sometimes when I record, I actually record verse 2 first.
Do you really?
I do, because it sets a bar, and then I have to go back to I end up going back to verse 1 anyway.
I'm gonna try that. I've never done that.
It's actually been really helpful for me.
These are songs that are already written, presumably, right? Not like
Yes.
song finish where like you're writing verse 2 first.
Right. It's songs that I've,
You already know what they are. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
What's that's a good segue into this. What's the song you've written that sort of means the most to you? Like you've written a ton, obviously
Yes.
at least 215 just on Songfinch.
Jeez.
So out of all of them, if that's too difficult, like top 2, maybe top 3?
Yeah. Oh, there's one that hasn't been released yet. I'll go new and old.
Okay.
So a new one is, the working title is Same. I don't know if you guys have actually heard that or not. Same hurt, different day, you care every time. I played it in April. I played it at the release party, and I told everybody to not record because it hadn't been released yet.
Then yes, we have heard
that, and then Just Because. Those are, but
I
Same,
love that one.
Yeah, it's so sweet. Those were both written in the past 2 years. Just Because was on a balcony at the Terry Sartain's house during quarantine, just singing to the Lord while staring at stars. Super literal. I had a thought, and I was like, I need to go grab my guitar. And then Same is my prayer to the Lord. Like, hey, I've had this issue for a long time, or I've had this hurt for a long time. Do you still care? Because scripture, whenever it talks about casting your cares on the Lord, your burdens on the Lord, because he cares. Kensley says this all the time. He doesn't just care about it. He sustains you through those things. So that's been a more recent one. An older one that I really like, Please Come Soon, was my first completed song that I loved. So that'll always hold a special place.
Those, for me, like I think about when it comes to songwriting, and like, you have these songs that mean the most to you. Do you find yourself going back to them, like to listen to them, or what's the process like after you write something that's like super important, and then like you're just trying to get it recorded? Or
So I've not only grown as a musician, I've grown as a human, which those directly impact each other. And I think as I've gotten older, I'm significantly more likely to listen back again, because I'm like, I need to hear that. This isn't, a lot of my life I lived like for everybody else. And I'm like, no, the Lord loves me is something that's more new. And it's like, no, he cares about just talking with me because he just does.
Yeah.
And so that's been, I think that's been apparent in listening back through songs as well. But I used to, when I finished a song, it was like, bye,
Yeah.
on to the next thing.
Been there.
On to the next thing. And there was no like, it took a lot of growing, I guess, to come to a place where it wasn't just about finishing and moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
It was hard.
I think when you're constantly writing, it's challenging to
To appreciate it when it's done.
to care about, like when there's a, in a sea where there's, even if it's, let's just say 20 songs and like you've done 10, it's like, you're not thinking about the 10 you just did. You're thinking about the 10 that aren't done yet.
Exactly.
I think I always feel behind in that way. I mean,
Yeah.
for sure. I there's an element of wishing that you could have like, but it also, I don't know, you'll have to tell me how you feel about this. I kind of actually also like that some of the things that end up getting released are not currently what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Like that's helpful. You get to be a little disconnected from the emotion, or sort of reapproach it without it being so sore.
Yeah.
all the time.
So loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It is nice to revisit.
So let me ask you this. Go with a little bit more of a lighthearted one now. What are the artists that are currently on your playlist? Like when you're listening to Spotify or Apple Music?
Okay, I'm a big fan of John Splithoff is a big one. Madison Ryan Ward. My friend KJ Scriven's a good one. Tori Kelly is always on my
Yeah.
She's always on my radar. Yeba
Okay.
is a newer one.
Yep.
I think I first heard that lady sing maybe like 5 years ago, and I was like,
What was that song she did like
Clark
live in
Beckham.
New York or something like that took off?
Mama.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did a cover of that, and I was like, I don't know if I should, because she's another level of she speaks and runs. Like if it was a language, that would be Yeba's language. She speaks and runs.
Last question. You have a new song that's just out.
What?
It's
Really?
called
Sabbath. Sabbath.
came out July 1st.
Technically,
Yeah.
yeah.
And man, there you have a video dropping
Yes, today at 3 p.m.
Today. Okay, so go watch it. Although by the time this is out, it will be
2 weeks
a
ago.
little bit.
better
a little
already
bit
have
older.
watched it.
So you better have already watched it. If you haven't, go look it up.
Yeah.
Tell us about Sabbath. Tell us about. Let's start with lyrics. Like, tell us about sort of the meaning behind this.
I think that this song, how it started, was kind of hilarious. I was brushing my teeth.
Okay.
It's like every good story. Is like,
Yeah.
I was brushing my teeth. And as I'm brushing my teeth, I'm like, we made paper to my paper.
That's really how you started that
That's
song.
exactly how it
That's
started. I have a
hilarious.
voice memo of it.
Do you really?
I really do. Don't ask me to. I'd have to
toothbrush
go
still in your
really
mouth?
far to find
Every
it.
one of these conversations, we know, like, okay, so we know you well enough that like it goes into my mind. Like I know, like off of a mic and off of a camera,
I
I'll be
would've
like,
shown
can
you.
I see that?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, yeah.
Yep. Yep. 100%.
So it's Becca had this last week too. She told us about the first song that she wrote, and it was like some
Ever?
like ever. She
showed
was
you
like
that?
no,
No,
she said
she
she was like
wouldn't.
8 or 9, and I like
she was 8 or 9.
I
Little
like
baby Becca.
I like lit up like she was, and she just
And
looked at me.
she
She was
was
like,
like,
I'm
no.
not playing it.
Yeah. She looked at your joyful face and
Same
went, I
thing.
will kill your dreams.
Same thing. Sorry to interject. So tell us
it's
about the
funny.
meaning. So you're
Yeah.
brushing your teeth.
Brushing my
That's
teeth.
the scene.
And that's the scene. Just imagine it. Yep. And I recognized that it doesn't always happen that melody and lyrics happen at the same time without an instrument and a toothbrush in my mouth. I guess that's technically the instrument of choice for Sabbath. Toothbrush.
That should be the album art. Sorry. Go ahead.
But I think I recognized it right away as a gift. Right away. And some songs don't always feel like that. Some of them feel like processing emotion. Some of them feel like we talked about earlier, feeling what someone else is feeling and really going through it and being like, oh, I'm trying to discover what this means. But this was literally an implant. It was a seed drop. It was like, bow, here you go, babe. And I was like, that is a brilliant thing to say. And how stupid is it that we make paper to buy paper?
Yeah.
What in the world is this cyclical thing that we're doing? And then examples just kept popping into my mind of all the things that we collectively do all over the world that are cyclical in an unhealthy way, and that will die for those things that are killing us that we want so badly.
Yeah.
And we refuse to rest in the middle of it. I've been learning about Sabbath rest, Shabbat, from the Lord for the past 3 years. And I think that that's appropriate that the song came after some time of learning.
Yeah.
Because it still challenges me. I still am learning what rest is in the Lord and how it's not just a day. Learning how to rest in what he said, learning how to rest in what he did is enough. But I've had a couple years of really wrestling with the question. So
Yeah.
to me, it makes sense that it just popped like that. It was like the Lord's like, you're ready.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't sound like that to me.
You
but-
only had to spend 3 years learning.
yeah, exactly. He's like, and you're ready to
Plus
ask
you're-
questions to other people now. And I'm like, but I still don't get it, do I? He's like, no. So it wasn't like I've grasped fully the concept, but it was like, no, I've been staring at it for long enough
Yeah.
now to where I can go, something's not right. So that song very much so started and still feels like just a gift. It felt like hey, this is something that we've been working through together, like the Lord and I. We've been working on this together, and now I'm going to let you say it in this way.
Yeah.
And it's going to welcome other people into the conversation.
So kind of on that idea, when you think about rest,
Oh, no.
yeah. So what would be, if people are out there and they're looking for rest, like what would be your way of saying you should find it? Like how would you what would be a piece of advice in terms of like somebody's trying to find a way to rest?
Oh yeah, I would say get alone and be quiet and see what happens in that time. For me, Sabbath has like the actual honoring of a day of rest has become like, this is a day where I'm committed to not furthering any of my passions, any of my dreams. It is literally, God, how do you want to further our relationship today? Because I want to come closer. I really do. And that's just a reflection of what you already want. So to the believer, I would say, get alone, get quiet, and ask God what he has in that time and what his intentions are towards you. And for someone who doesn't believe that God's real, I'd say get alone and just get quiet and see what's in that space. I mean, I'd encourage them to ask God too, but
Yeah.
be a fun challenge. Maybe, I mean, who knows what could come out of that?
No, I think that's a great thought in terms of like the idea of not furthering your own. I don't think the world thinks that today.
No, a day
Like-
off and a Sabbath are completely different. I think
Yeah.
most people,
That's
when they
been an
hear
interesting
Sabbath,
thing to
they're
learn.
like, it's my day off.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to
Yeah.
play video games and watch football.
I had to go through that too. I did that. I was like, oh yeah, it's a day to not just not work. And like, yeah, there's truth in that. But the Lord, he's so gracious. I just did some weird sort of,
Okay.
he's so gracious to really give time. Is it about to turn off?
No, you're good.
Oh,
It
okay.
won't turn off. It'll go.
So gracious to even whenever you're close but not quite, to still just let you be there for a minute
Yeah.
and be like, I'm gonna bait you in, babe. I'm just gonna bring you in.
Step into my web.
It's better here.
No, like I said, I love that idea of like a time where you're not focused on trying to
Further yourself.
make like honestly like make your life better. Like how
Yeah.
tiring is trying to make your life better? It's an exhausting
Especially when you
process.
don't even know what better is half the time.
It's like no.
Yeah.
So it's nice just to I think about that. I guess like in marriage anyway, I think about that for the standpoint of like we spend a lot of time like trying to, like we're talking about, like better our life, but even just for a marriage, like you at certain points, like if that's all you're focused on, you're not being friends. And sometimes you just need to be friends, you know? And I think that I definitely relate to it in that way. There are times where I'm like, we need to like relax on like, where are we going? What are we doing? Let's plan our week. Like all
Yeah.
this other kind of crap.
Yeah. And next week you will catch an episode of on marriage. Yeah. With wisdom with the Patterson.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
We
I
need
think-
10 more years.
You've got several things you guys say on a regular basis that I'm like, I mentally take notes and I'm like, that's good. That's good. I think even in relationship, it's really good.
Yeah.
Really good to do that. Find pockets of just like, let's just exist together. Like, let's just do that and see if we like each other. You know, because sometimes I think when you remove the busyness, you find like, do I actually enjoy who I am and what I do? Like, am I enjoying the person next to me? Even in music, am I like when I stop doing it and when I just look at it
Yeah.
and I just sit with it, like, what does it do?
Yeah.
Is it
time to
is it-
reassess.
Is it a moneymaker for me? Is it a way to get affirmation for me? Or is it something like, no, I can't help it. Like
Yeah.
I have to, which is what music feels. I know you feel that way as well. Do you
Yeah,
feel
it's
that
part
way?
of you.
Do you feel that way, Shay? Like music is like, I just can't help it.
Not to the magnitude you two are. It doesn't come as naturally to me for the urge to create.
The urge.
Mine,
That's a great way to put it. It's totally true though.
was
Yeah, it
much more of like I want to support him in absolutely any way I can. Not that I enjoy every task he gives me, but
What a babe. Goodness. That's your wife,
was
sir.
I
when we
know.
got
I'm a lucky
married. He was very clear on like, if you don't like music, you're not gonna like me. So like we got to
this
be
is
like
the
on the
fabric
same
of
page.
life.
That was just true. I was like, literally, like, you'll hate me.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
when
that wasn't
I
a
came
threat.
into that,
It was just being honest.
People, I like. Go ahead.
well, I think a lot of people too, like some people, typically people who like leadership roles, look at the person in the support role, and they're like, I don't understand why you would want to stay there, but I really do just enjoy
Yeah.
supporting other people and
Yeah.
like being the the leader standing here. I'm like right here.
I love that.
So let me
I love that. I want that.
let me ask you this, and as we kind of close here.
Oh, we're closing?
Yeah, we're closing.
All right.
You got to do your song.
Closing time.
For Sabbath from a production standpoint, kind of like there's a lot and I know you, so I know like there was probably more than what's there too, right? Like at certain points, yeah. So I hear like a lot of like little video game sounds.
Yes.
I hear stuff that I imagine like watching like a Zelda game and like another heart container shows up and like that noise is like in your song. How did that all come together? I know there's a guy named Jason that produced the song. What was the split of that? How did that go?
Yeah, Jason Grillo is his name. You should definitely check him out. He's phenomenal. So it started off as a FaceTime call. I knew, which again, this is what feels like a gift to me. I knew I wasn't supposed to produce that alone. And I can't explain how I knew that. I just did. It was like, nah. And I knew right. I was like, I need to call Jason. I need to FaceTime Jason. Or like I need to call him, and then he FaceTimed me back. But I sent him the track, and all it was, I recorded it after brushing my teeth. I couldn't go to bed. I was like, I have to put this down. It was 2 a.m. 2 a.m. And all I could do was like, I know exactly what I want the bass to do. It's like a boo. I knew. So I did it on live bass and then MIDI. And then I sent it to him, and I gave the raw scratch of my vocals and everything, no pitch, nothing. And he's like, I can work with this. And then he FaceTimed me, and he's like, hey, so I've got ideas that came immediately. He's a production gearhead guy. So he like, it's not surprising that ideas came, but the fact that he was so like immediate about it, I was like, okay, cool. He's got time and space. Like what? So he's like, I hear guitar things. I hear a track. I hear drums. Like, and we went back and forth over FaceTime. And then I think it was last November, I told him, I was like, I want to be in the studio with you and I want to work on some things. So at that point it was 50-50.
Yeah.
And then whenever I came, we spent a whole day, worked on 2 songs.
Yep. I remember that.
Oh yeah. I got like 3 hours of sleep the night before. I just couldn't go to bed. I was so tired. I took vitamin D before bed. Like
You got 3 hours of sleep and then tracked that vocal?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. See, like, it's like,
Just
like,
different,
man,
different breed.
I want that.
I pray it for you.
Thank you.
You're good at a lot of other things.
I want to get there anyway. The more conversations we're having and like we're doing live performance and like shows and stuff. And so
Yeah.
starting to feel it vocally, like you were talking about stamina. So I'm praying for more endurance here.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so you drove down there,
Yeah.
you did the vocal. That's
Yep.
insane on
Drove
3
to-
hours of sleep.
Tennessee. Yep. Drove to Tennessee. And we worked all day and had a lot of fun doing it. But the sounds, like the coin drops and the little noises that you hear, the kids going, yeah, was when we were on FaceTime. I was like, Jason, this is exactly what I hear. And he went on Splice and found it.
Yeah, really?
And
okay.
threw it in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So those types of sounds are really fun to do live, but we just knew what we wanted. And I was
Okay.
like, just go get it. And we left it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was like, this is what I want. And he's like, got you. And he threw it in.
That's awesome. Yeah, he did a great job. So did you.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a great. Honestly, I think in terms of like from that, knowing some of like having been in the studio and then like hearing other demos and hearing other songs, it's almost like it captures, I think, a really true sort of things that I think make your heart happy as a musician. But then it's like very refined in the way that it comes across. It almost has like a cinematic nature to it. That's how I've described
Yeah,
it. Like
that's awesome.
when I'm thinking about it, there's little moments that are like very intentional in every detail, which is really
Yes.
cool. So
Yes.
I'm going to wrap it.
Yep.
We appreciate you being here with us, and
been
we've
fun.
really loved having you here. I'm
felt very
very
normal.
excited, and I think we're going to kind of wrap it up by introducing, without further ado, here is Sabbath by Chelsea Locklear.
Yeah. Let's go.
We make paper to buy paper, spending time and wasting later. Tell me, oh please tell me, where's the sense? Go to school to prove not foolish, rocking dead like it's the coolest. I can't wrap my mind around this yet. Maybe we should chill for a second, rest our weary souls from the grind, break the caffeine addiction and make sleep prioritize. Perhaps there's something different, way to have more peace of mind. I'ma stop being a hypocrite, stop making an idol of busyness. Take a Sabbath, he commanded it. Yeah, I'ma take a Sabbath peace. We call for walls of church, forsake faith to promote works. Is anyone else seeing what I see? I'm not saying I do this right either, but I see the pattern and I hear the teacher saying, if your soul is tired, come to me. I've got everything that you need. Maybe we should chill for a second, rest our weary souls from the grind, break the caffeine addiction and make sleep prioritize. Perhaps it's something different, way to have more peace of mind. I'ma stop being a hypocrite, stop making an idol of busyness. Take a Sabbath, he commanded it. Yeah, I'ma take a Sabbath, yeah. I'ma stop being a hypocrite, stop making an idol of busyness. Take a Sabbath, he commanded it. Yeah, I'ma take a Sabbath peace.